Good afternoon and welcome to Boston Asian Radio and TV English Daily News today. I am your host, Amanda. Here's a look at the top stories making headlines today. No known threats to Boston Marathon, but police are prepared. Boston adopts new building code to limit use of fossil fuels. Boston City Council weighs pay raises for council staffers. Massachusetts Air National Guardsman Jack Teixeira arrested in documents leak. Boston, Hartford, and Providence break temperature records. No known threats to Boston Marathon, but police are prepared. There are no known threats to this year's Boston Marathon, but because it's the 10-year anniversary of the terrorist attack that killed 3 spectators, federal, state, and city law enforcement leaders said Thursday that they are prepared for anything. At this point in time, the FBI is not aware of any specific or credible threats targeting this year's race. Joseph Bonavolanta, head of the FBI's Boston office, said at a news conference, "And while we're confident in this assessment at this particular time, we are asking you to remain vigilant because we all know how quickly the threat landscape can change. Law enforcement agencies are more coordinated and prepared than ever to respond to any emergency," officials said, "but the public remains the first line of defense. Spectators have been urged to report anything suspicious." Boston adopts new building code to limit use of fossil fuels. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu on Thursday signed a new city ordinance aimed at discouraging the use of fossil fuels in the construction of new buildings and major renovation projects. The ordinance requires that new buildings that rely on fossil fuels install solar panels and additional wiring in anticipation of a future conversion to electrification, with the goal of most new buildings going all electric. Wu signed the measure at an event at the Museum of Science. The Boston City Council approved the ordinance last week on an 8-4 vote. The action makes Boston the largest city in Massachusetts to implement the code, which was finalized by the state last year. Brookline and Watertown were the first 2 communities to adopt the code earlier this year. Boston City Council weighs pay raises for council staffers. Boston City Councilors voted to bump their salaries last year and are now considering raising wages for their staffers as well. Councilor Tania Fernandez Anderson, chair of the council's Committee on Ways and Means, is the lead sponsor of a proposed ordinance to bump up the allocated budget councilors receive to provide salaries to their staff, seeking to raise the allotment from the current $315,000 to $390,000 per year. Under the proposal, Council President Ed Flynn's office would receive $460,000 to divvy up for salaries. Fernandez Anderson told councilors Wednesday staff wages should reflect more than qualifications and credentials. Officials should also consider Boston's expensive housing market and high cost of living when determining what to pay their employees, she said. Massachusetts Air National Guardsman Jack Teixeira arrested in documents leaked. A Massachusetts Air National Guard member was arrested Thursday in connection with the disclosure of highly classified military documents about the Ukraine war and other top national security issues, an alarming breach that has raised fresh questions about America's ability to safeguard its most sensitive secrets. The Guardsman, an 8th specialist identified as 21-year-old Jack Teixeira, was taken into custody without incident after FBI officers converged on his Massachusetts home. Attorney General Merrick Garland said he is to be charged with removing or transmitting classified national defense information, a crime under the Espionage Act. Garland did not reveal a possible motive, but accounts of those in the online private chat group where the documents were disclosed have depicted Teixeira as motivated more by bravado than ideology. Boston, Hartford, and Providence break temperature records. A blast of early spring warmth set temperature records in Boston, Providence, and Hartford. Forecasters said Boston hit 88 degrees, which passed the previous record of 86 degrees set in 1977, the National Weather Service in Norton tweeted. Southwest winds are ushering in the warmer temperatures from the southern states, Tory Goucher, and nuevos meteorologists say. The high temperatures are expected to drop across New England beginning Saturday as a cold front stalls across the region, meteorologists said. Stay tuned for more updates on Boston news as it develops.